Good morning, students. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to week 2 of remote learning. Today, I have a few notes for you that have to do with the work that we'll accomplish this week and a few pieces of feedback based on last week's work. So let's go ahead and start out here in Google Classroom. In the stream section, you'll notice that you have 3 assignments that are due this week. That's over here on the right-hand side. You can see where it says due Friday, you have some screenshots, a social studies assignment, and this week's reading selection for language arts, which is called Inviting Inclusivity. So it's important that you're checking Google Classroom, the stream section each day, because I'm leaving updates there for you. You'll also be able to see when I post the assignments. So it's really important that you're checking that. One note is that I went through last week's work and graded over the weekend and looked at your progress. And I think that it would be a better workflow for me and for you to be able to keep track of what you've actually accomplished if we have an assignment where you can screenshot your screen, your annotations in StudySync, so that I can view them and that you're aware that you've actually done that part of the assignment. So you can see that I've added a new assignment here for week 2. And the assignment is under the classwork tab. So you can see the details here on what to do for that assignment. And I'd like you to go into StudySync this week. And after you're finished reading and annotating, click View All, take some screenshots of your annotations, and then attach them here in this assignment. Remember, you can attach more than one screenshot. So if you need to take several, that's totally fine. So speaking of this week's work, we have the same template as we did last week, which is wonderful because it helps you predict the work that you should be doing. One thing that I did notice, though, is that while almost everybody finished slide 3, which last week had some sentence frames here that had to do with our selection on managing coronavirus anxiety, and most people also finished another slide that had another little task on it. I didn't actually receive that many annotations that I could view in StudySync, which makes me wonder if everyone understood that they were supposed to read an article and annotate it in order to finish last week's work. So what I'd like for you to do this week is just to make sure that you're reading the directions on every single slide. And remember that there's 5 different tasks for the week. This week, I tried to embed more of the activities all in this slide deck. So you have some context clues, and then you have reading and annotating. And in this video, I'll actually read the selection to you. So if you prefer to read with me, you could watch this video all the way to the end. And then after you read, you have another job. After you've annotated also, you will find evidence that the author uses to support a specific claim, and then complete the next 2 slides after this blue one. So we have the article, which will make a claim, which I've written for you over here in this box. The claim is that inclusive opportunities can help people with special needs be successful. So one of the things that might be a stumbling block for you a little bit this week is knowing what the word inclusive means. It's on your context clues activity slide, but I just want to make sure that you fully understand its meaning. When we say that something's inclusive, we say that it includes everyone. You can hear the similarity between those 2 words. So an inclusive environment is one that does not exclude anybody. It has opportunities for everyone to participate, no matter who they are and what their challenges might be that they face. So in this particular article, the focus is on people with special needs. So people who maybe need a little extra support in order to do life. So when we're talking about an inclusive environment, we're talking about one that's modified to help special needs people in whatever way they might require. So it might be a physical change to the environment that might help someone who is, for example, in a wheelchair. And it might also be a sensory change to the environment, like limiting the amount of noise or providing noise-canceling headphones to someone who's perhaps on the autistic spectrum. So this week's topic is about being able to include everyone in spite of their abilities or whatever their challenges might be. So after you go ahead and prove that claim, you have one races paragraph. A few people gave me feedback last week that it was hard to remember the different parts of the races paragraph. So this week I put a helping graphic for you. So a races paragraph has 5 different parts, and the 4 most difficult parts are covered here in the graphic to help you remember how to write the type of paragraph that I'm asking for. And then, as always, I'll see you on Friday for task 5, which is our class Zoom. Please make sure that you're attending the Zoom, and preferably please attend the Zoom after having finished the week's worth of work, because we're going to go over the work for that week at our Zoom. And then we'll connect a little bit, and we'll always end in playing a game. So thanks for those of you who showed up to the Zoom last week. We had a really big turnout, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of your wonderful faces and hopefully a few more again this week. So for now, let's go ahead and take a look at the selection for this week's language arts. The selection is called Inviting Inclusivity, and this is the graphic that you'll see in StudySync when you log in to look for the selection. The guiding question is, how can we empower people with special needs? This is also the quick write question, which you'll find on task 1 here on the first slide. So when you empower someone, that means you give them the bravery and self-confidence to be able to try something or to do things that might be intimidating. So that's something to think about as we read. Here we go. Paragraph 1. March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. It's a time to think about how to better integrate people with mental, physical, developmental, or intellectual disabilities into our communities. Lifetown is one wildly creative example. That's a really good topic sentence. So it's giving us a preview that this article will be about a place called Lifetown. And it's also giving us a heads up that Lifetown is special because it helps integrate people who have special needs. Let's go to paragraph 2. In September 2019, Rabbi Zalman Grossbaum and his wife, Toba Grossbaum, opened Lifetown. It is a 53,000 square foot complex in New Jersey. The center teaches special needs people different parts of everyday life. They practice going into the grocery store, they get money from the bank, they obey traffic laws. Visitors with special needs first get $12 from the bank, and they can use this money at 15 of Lifetown's storefronts. There are food shops and salons, trained volunteers to assist them, and the ability to learn new things is great, says Ella Kaufman, whose 2 sons have autism. But the ability to not be an outsider is the biggest thing. I can see there that the author has supported one of their explanation of what Lifetown does. They've supported that with a quote from a parent who brings their children to Lifetown. So that might be some important detail to hone in on. Paragraph 3. At Lifetown, there is a welcoming environment for people with different needs. For example, a gym has a sound dampening ceiling. This helps those who get sensory overloads. A wall covered in fabrics has been added for the blind. A pool with a wheelchair ramp is being built, and it also assists the families by providing care. It is a space where differences are celebrated. They had so many needs, both social, educational, and therapeutic, but they also felt very left out of the community, says Rabbi Grossbaum. We said, we have to do something about this. Paragraph 4. Businesses across the country are also doing something about it. Biddy and Beau's coffee shop in South Carolina is run entirely by people with special needs. It is named after the owner's 2 sons who both have Down syndrome. The shop aims to empower those who might otherwise struggle to get a job. One of the obstacles that people with disabilities face is finding meaningful employment, and this coffee shop was born out of that need, says owner Amy Wright. I'm going to pause here. This week's annotating tasks are listed on slide 6. And this says that your job is to highlight blue the aspects of Lifetown that are helpful to students with special needs. Write annotations to summarize those aspects using your own words. Well, I heard a lot of great things that could be annotated in blue in paragraphs 2 and 3. So that might be a really good place for you to look for those types of annotations. The focus of the article shifts after paragraph 3, and we start to get into our second annotation goal, which you were supposed to annotate in green examples of other businesses that support people with special needs. So not just Lifetown, but what other businesses exist that provide an inclusive environment. And here in paragraph 4, we have read about a coffee shop called Biddy and Bose, and that's in South Carolina. So we're looking primarily at Lifetown in New Jersey, and then this first example of another business is a coffee shop in South Carolina. All right, continuing on about the coffee shop in paragraph 5. The shop also hopes to reduce the stigma around hiring people with special needs. Stigma is like a stereotype, so it's important to understand that word. Sometimes people with special needs have difficulty obtaining a job in our communities because they might have challenges that can make a job more difficult for them or require a lot of extra effort on their part to participate in that job. So sometimes businesses are maybe hesitant to hire people with special needs because they think about the extra support that might have to be given. So Biddy and Bose is unique because it hires only people with special needs. That's kind of cool. That's what we call making an inclusive environment. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 19.3% of people with a disability were employed in 2019. Everybody that walks through the doors here leaves with a new perspective, says Wright. These individuals, their lives have value, and they deserve to be accepted and included. Paragraph 6. In Tallahassee, Jobapalooza helps teens with special needs connect with more than a dozen employers in their community, allowing them to learn about job opportunities like working at restaurants or at salons. Don't give up. Don't think it's impossible. It's actually much easier than you think, says Henry Hansen, who has special needs and works at Jerry's Cafe in Tallahassee. Paragraph 7. But inclusivity extends beyond employment. Experts like the University of Minnesota's Angela Novak-Amato encourage fostering more inclusive communities by ensuring the same education about healthy relationships is extended to people with disabilities. She says that forging friendships between people of different communities is just as important as welcoming people with special needs into all aspects of daily life. What is ultimately helpful and important for all community members is to appreciate a person with a disability for their gifts and what they have to offer, says Amato. What do you think? How does Lifetown help support people with special needs? Why is embracing differences important? And how can we empower people with special needs? Well, one of the things I hope is that we have a school culture that is inclusive of everyone, even if they have special needs or might be a little different from who you are or who I am. The important thing is that we're accepting everybody and providing an environment where everyone can participate and be a part of our school community. So that's really this week's focus, isn't it? Inviting inclusivity is the focus for the rest of your slide deck here in Google Classroom. Remember that one of the author's claims is that inclusive opportunities can help people with special needs be successful. So your job is to find 3 pieces of evidence from the article that proves that an inclusive opportunity or an inclusive environment can help people with special needs find success in life. All right, as always, remember that if you have any questions at all, you can comment here in the stream in Google Classroom, and I'm happy to help you. Also, we've had some rock stars in there helping others too, so thanks if you tried to help someone troubleshoot a technical issue last week. I really appreciate that. And also, don't forget that you have a social studies slide deck as well. So I will see you on Friday. Make sure you email me if you need help and get those screenshots from StudySync after you're finished with your annotations. All right, see you Friday.